Thank you guys for joining us today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to share and help other agents grow. And I know when I talk with each and every one of you guys, somebody had helped you guys along on your journey um, here in real estate, and so it's great to have guys like you giving back and sharing. And one of the reasons I reached out to each one of you guys to be on this panel is that you guys have a great reputation, both with other agents in the industry and customers. And so I really appreciate that. I looked up all your guys' reviews online, read through them. And you have a unique perspective in your business of what you bring to the table for people. And you guys have been able to carve out a very nice career in real estate here. So I really appreciate you guys joining us. So what I wanted to kind of start to do in here is just have you guys introduce yourself, talk about, how long you've been in real estate, how you got started, what's your production level, and then what are your goals for the year, and then how do you determine those goals? So, anybody want to go first, or you want me to pick it?
Sure, it don't matter. I'll go first. Um, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dave Simpson. Worked with Keller Williams. Was started off with real estate masters back in the day. Got my real estate license because I was building houses, buying vacant land, building a house, selling the house, and I figured if I got my real estate license, I can actually get a little bit more for my business because I was always about trying to build my business up. So got my real estate license back in 06. As y'all know, it's perfect timing. The market crashed a year or two later. So kind of had to backpedal a little bit, went back to remodeling, focus on that, hyper focus on that, stepped up my game a little bit there. So I was able to stay in business while everybody else moved out of the state. And as the market started turning around, I switched over to real estate full time just to get out of the construction because it was killing my body. So now real estate's killing my brain. So I don't know which way, what's going on here, but no, I do like to switch and been doing real estate full time for about 6-7 years now. I don't know, time flies. As far as production last year, did about 13.1 mil. That was about, I think, 78 families we helped. And this year, our goal is to step that up by 20%. And so far, we're a little bit behind, but not too far behind. When I track my numbers, we're actually looking pretty good. And with the market the way it is, the toughest thing is getting listings. But other than that, the price of sales going up, the price of homes going up is definitely going to help us probably cover that gap. So did I cover all the ones you wanted us to cover?
Yep, absolutely. Goals for this year?
Goals for this year was just up in that 13.1 mil by 20%.
Awesome. Thanks. Mike, you want to go next? Just your order.
Hey guys, I'm Mike Rickerman, Town and Country Realty out of the Lexington area. We kind of handle Sanilac County and northern St. Clair, such like that. So former school teacher and started as a school teacher in 1998. Taught for 5 years, master's in school counseling, was a school counselor for another 5-6 years, and then got the itch for business. So kind of like Dave, 2008 earned my real estate license and was a advisor counselor at the community college for a while I was building on my business. And then as business grew, 2011 was finally able to switch over and leave the education world and go into real estate full time. So really blessed year last year, like a lot of us were last year. I had a little over 18 million in sales. We had, I didn't count the number, probably about 60 to 70 families that I assisted, and have been blessed. So that was a great year. This year, it's hard. My goal is always hit at least 10 million. Okay. I'm going to be realistic. I don't know if I'm going to climb over 18 million again this year. If I don't, that's okay. That might sound counterintuitive when you're building a business, but I like the kind of the 10 to 12, 10 to 13 range is always kind of the goal of where I'm at. Ultimately, for me, it doesn't come down to numbers. It comes down to how many families can I best help in the best way possible and make sure they're happy and satisfied with that. And then continue to build community local. So that's the goal.
Thank you for sharing that, Mike. You want to go ahead, Mark?
Sure. For anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm Mark Ellis at Bar Arena Real Estate. I started there 2014 is when I got licensed. At the time I got licensed, I was actually still working at the dealership. I used to manage Kaywood Honda for 13 years. So coming from a car sales background into real estate, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it has helped me definitely. Some of those clients that I helped, in the car business have followed me over to real estate. So that has definitely helped. As far as numbers last year, I think I hit just about 8 million, 60 transactions. I was off, purposely. So before COVID hit, last year was 2020. So 2019, I put a pool in my house. So the goal for 2020 was to enjoy the pool for the summer. So prior to COVID coming, I was planning on taking the summer off regardless. So for me, it was just, I extended COVID. We were off in March and I kind of extended that into the summer and enjoyed my time. So I don't regret that at all. But anyway, goal for this year is to hit, at least 10 million, do at least 80 transactions to help 80 families out. I also want to get licensed in Florida this year. That's another goal of mine. I just think a lot of my sphere of influence is going to Florida or getting ready to get to that retirement age. And I think that might be a good license to have. So that's kind of the goal so far.
And some fortifications there, right? To get to warmer weather during the winter months. So.
It's kind of a nice excuse to go to Florida too.
So yeah. Thank you guys for sharing that. Obviously, all three of you guys are real high producers here. And one of the things that, as people get, you get busier in business, it comes down to that time management aspect. And so what I was asking you guys to do is, think of all the tasks that you guys do in real estate to stay on top of the goals that you have. Each one of you have big goals there. And what tasks, do you do to what tasks do you do that directly impact the money that you make? And then the next question I'm going to ask you is, what do you like most and what do you like least? And then we're going to talk about, how do you leverage out the things that you don't like the least? So any volunteers you want to go ahead, Mike, and talk a little bit about, what tasks, that you're doing every day that directly impact the bottom line in your business?
Sure. So when I first got into real estate, of course, you're just scrapping for any business that you can. Okay. But definitely that 80-20 rule does come into play. So as I've been able to build my business, I've been able to focus on, my primary 80% of my time, my focus and everything is on listings. And that has definitely helped. So in growing a business, bringing in an assistant has definitely helped just with the time management side. And then also having like I don't have official buyer's agents under me. There are other agents within our office that have just, I know they do things the same way that I do. And so I'm able to refer buyer business over to them that I just can't handle. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a real blessing in that regard. So, for those of you building your business, yes, as Dave said, hey, this is it's a challenging time to get listings right now, but 80% of my focus still goes on that side of it because, that's guaranteed business in that regard. And it's a way to keep your name out there. The more signs and the more things you have, the more your business is naturally going to grow.
So you're focused on listings because that's directly impacting your bottom line, also helping you with the time. You talked about referring out a lot of the buyer business so you can focus on that. What do you like most? Like, what's your favorite task out of all the things that you do in real estate to do?
First of all, I feel like I live the most blessed life ever. Okay. I spend most of my time either on or near the shore of Lake Huron. Okay. Well, who doesn't want that? Okay. Right. So there's nothing better. So I love being with people. I love it when you're just educating people about our area, the communities, whether it's Lexington, Port Sanilac, up the coast, even down to Port Huron, Fort Gratiot. There's nothing better than helping people get excited about a great place to live and hopefully raise their family and or vacation. So it's certainly, for me, it's the people side of it. The paperwork comes, I'm detail orientated, like crazy, but I'm slowly, my anal retentive likeness in regards to that is able to be passed over a little bit. And there's nothing better than just being with the client.
Cool. What do you like least about it? Like, what are the tasks that, you dread doing, but you either leverage them out or you find a way to just go through the grind because you know that on the other side, is the fun.
Yeah. Uh, Worst thing ever is to measure out a house when it's 10 degrees below zero and you're hiking in from Lakeshore Road to get to it. But yeah, no, just the backside paperwork stuff of it. We try to focus on social media and marketing and things like that. And that's stuff that it's fun, but that someone else can do. So least favorite stuff is probably just the nitty gritty office stuff that, in regards to just monthly ads and things like that. Let someone else do that.
So you leverage that stuff out, or how do you keep your mindset so that you can still do the things that you like and that drive your business? But do you have any tips for people who might be in the grind and whether to leverage it out, or how do you trick your mind into liking that stuff for a little while?
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to do what you got to do for a while until you can build up. But once you get in, and actually several people from your KW office were great in regards to just mentorship in that regard as well. And then, I've had great mentors, and it's hard to let go of things, but if someone can do the advertising, the parts of social media, parts of just the day to day, have them do that so you can focus on what you're passionate about. You're not, if you love that stuff and don't want to let it go, great, but you're going to be working long hours, as I did for a long time. So just finding a little bit more life and balance has been great.
Yeah. So do what you do best and do it better than anybody else, right?
The goal.
Yeah. So, Mark, you want to go and talk about a little bit about, what do you focus on directly that impacts your bottom line? So.
Sure, absolutely. So 90% or better of my business is coming from repeat and referrals. To be honest with you, I don't do a whole lot of advertising. I should. It's something that I definitely recognize I could be better at. But I've just always focused on taking care of the customer. And so for me, no matter what industry I was in, I've been in sales literally my entire life. I just always felt that if I took care of the customer and worked harder than anybody else, the success would follow, right? So for me, it was just all about taking care of that customer. So that's what I focus on, is if I can give that customer a great experience, and even when problems happen, if I can address them in a way that makes that customer feel great, or help them to understand why this happened a little better than the next person, then that's going to help me in my business. And so what ends up happening is, after I take care of that customer, usually at the closing table, I will tell them, say, hey, I had a great experience with you. I wish I had 10 other clients just like you. Do you happen to know anybody that might be looking to list or sell? And, you're kind of hitting them at a time where they're very excited. They're either selling a home and getting a check, or they're buying a home and creating new memories or starting a new chapter in their life, right? So it's a great time, I feel, at the closing table to say, hey, I love working with you. Do you have anybody else that is like you that I can work with? And you'd be surprised. I mean, a lot of clients will, they'll write you down a few names right at the table. Hey, call this person. They were thinking about listing. Or, hey, I know this person needs to move. They're having a baby soon, or whatever, So I think just asking for that sale is what's kind of helped me, or asking for that referral has kind of helped me. But yeah, 90% of my business is repeat and referral business. I do concentrate, as Mike said, on listings. As we know, listings are king right now. There's a shortage of inventory. I guess if I could give a couple of tips though to newer agents, one thing that I would do, and I did it in the beginning of my career, and it's helped me, is try to build a relationship with a builder or a developer, right? So I've got a few builders that I work for, that I sell homes for, and that relationship has really helped me out tremendously, because usually when someone's coming to you to buy a new construction home, they have to sell the home they're in, right? So you're getting 2 listings out of it, or 2 deals out of it, a listing and a sell. But then the builder has actually sent me business, right? So the builder says, hey, my aunt is listing her home or wants to list it. Will you go help her? Or, hey, this person was driving by my job site and said they might be looking for a property. They didn't necessarily like this one, but they want to build one somewhere else. Can you help them out? So I would say, you know what? A lot of these builders do have agents they're working with. But as a newer agent, you could certainly go to that builder and say, hey, you know what? I understand that you probably have a relationship with the realtor, but can I hold one of your model homes open on Sunday? You know, any business that I get from it, great. We don't need to sign a contract or whatever, but just let me hold your house open. And I did that a couple of times early on in my career. And I was able to basically create leads from it, right? Because everybody that came in, I'd get their name, phone number, email address, and then that they became a lead in my database.
Right.
I may not have sold them a home right away, but later on, you know, as I'm touching that customer and their needs arise, right, I'm kind of top of mind for that buyer or seller. So I would say try to build a relationship with a builder if you can. But getting back to your question about what I hate and what I like, one of the things that I love about our business, or one of my favorite tasks, is dealing with first-time home buyers. First-time home buyers are cool, man. Like, they're just excited. They've never bought a house before in their life. They have more questions than anybody, of course, and I expect that. But they're just excited. You know, by the time they get to the closing table, they're just happy. They're buying this house. They're going to create memories. They might be starting a family. That's awesome to me. You know, I sell houses to investors all the time. They're like, yeah, whatever. Where do I sign? You know. But these first-time home buyers is cool. So I love helping the first-time home buyers out. Probably one of my least favorite tasks is, I wrote down two things. Number one, having a conversation with the seller when an appraisal comes in light. I don't like having that conversation. So that would be one of them. And then number two is social media. I'm not a big social media guy. I'm trying to increase my presence there because I know that's where the people are, and I need to be where the people are. But if you look at my social media, it's not like, you know, top notch by any stretch. And it's self-admittedly, I'm bad at it. But it's something that I'm either going to try to, you know, hire out or get better at doing. So.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And love the take on the new construction there that you have, especially somebody starting out. Dave, you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about, you know, what you do, what do you focus on to directly impact your bottom line on a daily basis, and then, you know, what you like most, least, and what you leverage out. So you're muted there. Yep.
I'm on mute. Whoops, my bad. I'm getting used to the other Zoom calls. They always mute yourself in case you make some noises while something's going on. But no, just like these guys, I mean, they hit the nail on the head. And really the key to success is focus on listings. Everything else comes from that. So listings comes from marketing, you know, polls, you get marketing, you know, free marketing from that. Your listings, you got your signs out there. You get your buyers from that. You get other, you know, other sources of business come really from listings. So focusing on that 100%. Outside of that, it's okay. Now, how can we, you know, step up our game besides just that? And it's just doing a bunch of really networking, marketing, getting in front of people. I don't spend prior to this year. Okay. So I know this year is going to be a lot different with my responses on marketing, but prior to this year, didn't spend a lot of money on marketing. It was all just organic stuff. I would do a lot of social media stuff, and I'm on all social media platforms. I don't even know how to use TikTok or Snapchat. I'm getting better at, but a lot of that stuff I don't even care for, but I do it because it's what's coming up. How am I going to get those first-time home buyers or those new buyers that Mark's talking about? You know, it's probably by being on their damn channel. You know, I don't know anything about it, so I try to learn it. And you know, you look at the different. It's crazy because Facebook is for I'm 45, so Facebook's probably like for my age and older. Instagram's for my age on down, and then you got TikTok and Snapchat. You know, so you got different age groups playing different platforms. So if you want to, you know, reach everybody, you really got to be on all platforms, unfortunately. And I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't care for it. I don't like doing it. People say they think I'm pretty good at it, but it's because I'm doing it what I don't like. It's like lead generating. Don't like lead generating, but I do it because I know it's going to affect my business. So and it's really, there's a lot of free marketing on there too. I mean, you're getting in front of so many people, and the more you can get other people involved, the more free marketing you're getting from them. So it really does play a key factor. And it's also, you know, when people do searches out there for agents in the area, a lot of those social media things come up first. I remember when I used to Google Dave Simpson 5 years ago, I'd be one of the first people that popped up in Michigan, and it was because of Facebook. It was the first thing it said was Dave Simpson Facebook. Now, it wasn't me that they're Googling. It was Facebook that was putting me in front of them. So it's just, and the same thing I feel with all the other ones, with Instagram and all the other ones that I don't really, know how to use. But it's just getting the SOI or SEO, see how good I am at that? I don't even know what I'm talking about. The SEO out there in front of people, because that way, the more they search, the more I come up. So that's what I focus on, a lot of that. We try to getting in front of people. We do different videos and stuff on Facebook. We've been doing a lot of Feature Friday videos to promote a giveaway. So we do a video to promote a business to try to help them out. And this all started back when COVID hit, because we're trying to find a way, okay, our business is kicking ass. What can we do to help others out? So we started with restaurants, and then we went to retail, and then we just hit anybody and everybody that's a small business in our area. Because like Mike said, just my goal and what I enjoy is getting out there in front of people, helping people get to know this area and what's involved in this area. So we're doing videos to help promote that business, to help give them a little exposure. We ask them for a little free giveaway that we can promote during our video, and then that person comes, picks up that free giveaway, because people love free giveaways. I mean, even you go to a luncheon, you can have ETAR luncheons all day long. Unless you throw out a free lunch, now all of a sudden you got 100 agents that'll show up and make a vote that day. And that's how, being on the board, we used to always have to do it. In order to get agents to show up at the luncheon, you had to offer the free luncheon. So people love free stuff. So you give away free stuff, people start promoting it for you. And that's where you're getting your free exposure, your organic exposure, getting in front of people. Now that person, we make them come into our office to get that giveaway. And we ask them for information. What's your name, address, email, phone number? Do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell? And now we got their information to go into our database, like Mark was saying, out of open houses. Everybody's got their niche, or how you grab people's information. And it's funny because now it's kind of like a game, because a lead comes in or something comes in. I'm like, that's great. I'd love to help you out with that. Can I get a phone number to reach you in case, we get disconnected? Or can I get a phone number in case, this or that? Or can I get an email to send you something in case it pops up next week? They'll give you that information right off the bat. But if you wait a week or two to try to grab that information, they're like, I'm done with you. I've already found something else over here. So you got to get that stuff right off the bat. And it's kind of like a game, because now we do it. And Kristen, my assistant, and I will look at each other. I'll be like, I got you. You're done now. You're mine. I got you in the system. So, and it's just, we're not bugging them. We're putting them on a drip campaign. It's you're reaching out to them once a month, maybe, just kind of staying in front of them. So we're not trying to bug anybody. Just really want to stay front of mind. Just like everybody else is, like, like McDonald's and Pepsi and Coke. And, so we just want to be one of the top people they think about. Did I go off topic there? Sorry, I was trying to hit the answers, but I don't know if I.
No, I think it was great. You were talking about how you focus on your marketing to get those listings and building a database there. So what do you like most about real estate and the things that you do on a day?
I like most being in front of people. I just like talking and being in front of them, hanging out. I'd rather do that than the office work. And that's why I hired an assistant to do my 80% of what I don't want to do that still is needed in my business, but I want to focus on my 20%. And that's getting listings and being in front of people and marketing. And that's where I enjoy, like, I try to go to every single one of my kids' events. If I miss one, I'm frustrated, because I really don't miss one. But I might have missed one or two. But I try to go there because I'm getting in front of people. So it's not just for my kids, it's for my business too. So it's always trying to just be out in front of people. I love talking. You do it enough, people start asking you. I can't go anywhere without somebody saying, how's real estate, or how's this, or how's that real estate. I don't even got to bring it up anymore, because people ask me. So it's just getting out there in front of people, keep doing it, the same thing over and over again. And I enjoy that part, and staying away from. And then the best thing to be productive too in this business is to focus on your 20%, focus on what makes you happy. So if I focus on being in front of people and doing what makes me happy, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to come into work every day. I go home when I work till I go to sleep sometimes, because I enjoy it, because I know it just needs to be done for the next day. I don't do it all the time. That's what the assistant's for. She takes a lot of time off my plate, or a lot of things off my plate to give me my time back, because that's most important. And then we actually, what was the other part of that? I think and trying to help her enjoy her job, we actually just hired a VA, virtual assistant, to take time off of her plate, because I want her to enjoy doing the stuff that I don't enjoy. Does that make sense? So I don't like doing it. She likes doing it, but there's some things that she doesn't like to do. So I want to keep her by my side. She's a great job. She does a great job. She's a great person. I want to keep her happy. So I'm bringing on somebody that takes care of the stuff that she doesn't want to do. So trying to help us all out as a whole.
So what are some of the things that you don't like to do that you leveraged off first, and how did you know you leveraged off first?
Really, all the paperwork, the number stuff. I don't care to track my numbers. I do, so I know where I'm at, but I don't care to. I don't enjoy that stuff. It's funny because as a builder, I'm good with math. I can rattle off math problems left and right, but I don't, in the real estate world, that's not the same. I don't enjoy it as much as I guess I did when I was building houses. So just a lot of that, the paperwork, the responding, hearing that, connecting with like just keeping the back end, I guess. Pretty much the back end of the business is what I don't care to do or don't enjoy to do. So I just hired that out to so allow me to just be in front of people.
Yeah, cool. And one thing, each one of you guys, when I talk to you guys, this is one thing that stuck out to me, is that, you know, you guys are high producers out there. And in this business, you know, you hear a lot of people say that you can't have work-life balance, right? You know, as you're a realtor, oh, you work all the hours, you work every weekend. But what stuck out with me was that you guys, each one of you had a way of blocking out some time for yourself or your family, or ways like that. Is there any, can you guys share any tips or tricks that you do to make sure that you're spending, you know, time outside your business?
I think you got to schedule it. So for me, I try to schedule a lot of my vacation time at the beginning of the year, because if I don't schedule it, things will just fill that time. You know, I mean, I live by my Google Calendar. You know, every morning I look at it and it tells me where I need to be. And so if I don't schedule my vacation time, then I'm going to put something else in that spot to fill that time. So I think you just have to schedule things out. I mean, if there's something that's important to you, you know, like Dave said, he tries to go to all of his kids' events, and I see him there. You know, he's posting that stuff on social media, and good for him. You know, so he's there supporting his kids. You know, he takes time out to be at all of their events, and he's still you know, producing at a high level. So you can have a work-life balance. You know, you just have to figure out what is important to you. Either, you know, a lot of things that you're doing in your business, you can pay for, and you can pay with them two different ways, either with time or money, right? So you've got to decide, like, are you going to be the guy that's paying with time? Okay, that's fine. But to me, time is my most valuable asset. So I would much rather pay it with money. But in the beginning of my career, I had to pay with time, because I didn't have the money, right? So I had to, so, and it switches, you know, as you go through your business, you'll see what's important to pay with, you know, with time, and what's important to pay with money. And then you just make those changes along the way. But I think scheduling it has been helpful for me. Like I said, last year I scheduled the pool time because I knew I just wanted to enjoy that and just have that experience. Got that out of my system now, so I can concentrate on business this year. But that's kind of what works for me. Obviously, Dave and Mike might have a different outtake on that, but that's what works for me.
Cool. Anybody have anything different to add and how they do it, other than getting into your calendar?
I do. But
I mean,
I got something. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So, you know, I have three kiddos. So one that just graduated from college and is starting adult life, and then one in college and one still in high school. So, you know, priority as I was building up my business was always, and we have always encouraged our kids, you know, your job is academics. So I want you to do it very well. But then we always encourage each one of our three kids every season. We want you to be in a club activity or sport. Okay. So, and all of them have pretty much chosen a sport every spring, winter, and fall. So, you know, that's immediate. That's priority. So for my wife and I, my wife's a school teacher, so you never miss a game. That's pretty much the philosophy of everything, even away games. So that just automatically takes priority, and business is built around that. Certainly we're blessed with Beth being a school teacher, and when the kids were even, you know, home, either high school, middle school and such, over the summer, she was able to be home, and she just knew I was going to be gone a little bit more. And with my particular niche being kind of along the shoreline, you know, weekends as well, are, you know, I spend a lot of time, most Saturdays, you know, I'm with clients, and family knows that, but we have a good routine, and we all kind of know what to expect. And then Sunday morning for us, my faith was super important. So from, nothing happens on Sunday before 1 o'clock. I'm always with my church and with my church family and with my family in that regard. So scheduling, like Mark said, I think is just huge. You gotta know what's important, make sure that stays forefront, because this, as you guys, as every one of you know, this business can pull you in 1,000 different directions. Make sure you're taking the time to schedule the stuff that's most important for you. And your business will be blessed for it, because you're going to be better. You're going to have a better mindset. And then you're going to be happier. If you're burning out, that's going to translate to every seller or buyer you're working with. And they're going to be like, man, this person doesn't like what they do. So make sure you're taking the time for yourself to stay fresh.
Yeah, great advice there. Thanks, Mike. Dave, you got something you want to add to that?
No, they both pretty much hit it on the head. So next question, please. No, no, I 100% agree with both of those guys. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. And if you allow your business to burn you out, real estate is one of those that will burn you out 100%. There's no doubt about it. You can't deny it. If you go after it and you want to succeed at it, it will burn you out. So the biggest thing is time block. And I'm guilty of it. I think everybody's guilty of it. Time blocking is one of the hardest things to do. But if you go back to the day before vacation, the day or two before vacation, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on the only thing that's important. You're not letting anything sidetrack you. You're not letting social media sidetrack you. You're not letting a call from a buddy from 3 states away sidetrack you. Like, you are literally time blocking your day the right before vacation. And it's so easy to do when you're focused on going off to relax the next day, but it's so hard for us to do on a daily basis. So the biggest thing is time blocking and getting it. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. I start with, God, family, trust. Like Mike said, try not to schedule anything before noon on Sundays. Then my kids' sports go in there next. My wife would like a date night to go in there too, but I'm guilty. That's my fault. I'm guilty of that. That doesn't make it in the schedule as much as we'd like to. But after that, then it's appointments, and everything is an appointment. Even church, if it's church on Sunday, it's an appointment. If it's a game on Thursday night, it's an appointment. Everything is an appointment, because that way it's scheduled. It's taking up that time. You can't schedule anything around it. And I learned that from a client a long time ago, that I said I had to go to my kid's baseball game, or it wasn't even baseball, soccer or something like that. And she went with another agent in the office, and that agent came up to me. She goes, wow, I'm working with that person. She said that you were too busy for her. And I said, I was too busy because I was going to my kid's game. I thought she would understand that. Obviously, she didn't think that my family was important, which I do. So unfortunately, that's usually not a client you want to work with anyways. But that triggered it in my head that day. I was like, all right, everything is an appointment. I don't care if I'm golfing on Thursday at 3:00, I got an appointment at 3:00. Doesn't matter where I'm at. You don't need to know where I'm at. I'm just going to an appointment at 3:00. And that way you don't burn yourself out. Because one year I didn't sign up for a golf league, and I golfed probably twice that year because it wasn't in my schedule. I had better things to do. I had more important things to do, but that's really important to me, to go out and relax one day a week, just get away from everything for 2 hours, and that helps me not burn myself out. And yeah, you, like Mike said, your clients will know it. They'll feel it, whether you think they do or not. They'll see it and they'll feel it. So time blocking is very important.
Brian, if I can add one thing too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
know your personality, because like for me, I was a school teacher, school counselor for a long time. So for me, like, office time helps me. Okay. As much as I don't like office time, I know that even with COVID world here, I'm not as focused when I'm at my house. Okay. That may be 1,000 times different for you, but I know it works for me. So priority for me is I drive my son to school in the morning. As soon as I'm done with school, I like to be the first person in the office. That's always like a goal, and I can get a lot done. But for me, it doesn't work for me to work at home, because if I'm working at home, I got 6 projects that are pulling me away or taking my brain space. So I can get a ton done between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock before a lot of times people are even showing up. So just know what works for your personality. And that's not saying don't work from home if you can work from home. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And I love how each one of you guys, you got into real estate, for a reason. Most of the time it was to be your own boss, to be able to have the life that you wanted to spend time. And I love the fact that you guys have built your businesses around the priorities you have in your life, and I think that's the key thing, is that each one of you guys are here talking about putting into your schedule, locking it in there, because that's the center of your life, and the business is built around it. And I think that's a great perspective to have. So.
Oh yeah. I remember talking to Mark last year, and he said, I'm putting in a pool. You know what I'm gonna do this summer? I'm going to hang out by that pool all summer. I'm like, damn you. I was jealous. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you got to do it. I mean, everyone that's on this call or on this in the part of this meeting, in the beginning, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to dictate your schedule because we're paid 100% commission on our production. So in the beginning, I mean, unfortunately, you got to put in the time. You have to do it. You have to grind. You got to work harder than everybody else. You got to get to the office before everybody else gets there. You got to be the last person to leave. You got to reach every person that you know and tell them that you sell real estate. I mean, I remember I would go out and Dave would be out there with us. I mean, we used to drink quite a bit, and we'd go out to the bars and stuff, and we'd tell every waitress that we ran into that we sold houses. Anybody that would listen to us, we told them that we sold houses. And did we expect those people to buy houses from us? No, but you know what? They may know someone that has a need, and that's the thing. Like, you never know where that next lead is going to come from. If I could just share a quick story, and then I'll jump off. I was headed back from Canada one day. I got in the customs line, and the customs officer said, he's asking me all these questions. What were you doing in Canada? How long were you here? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm on the American side, headed back into the States. And he says, what do you do for a living? And I said, I sell real estate. Why? Do you want to buy a house? It was just a natural reaction that I said to him. And he said, actually, I might be looking. I said, well, here's my card. Give me a call. Didn't expect the guy to ever call me. Anyway, about 2 months later, the guy called me. I ended up selling my house in Whitney Place for $350,000. And it's like, okay, this is cool, right? So you never know where that next lead is going to come from, but you have to be able to put yourself out there to let people know what you do. Because the worst thing you could ever hear as a realtor is, I didn't know you sold real estate. I just bought a house from so-and-so. I didn't know you sold real estate. That's the worst thing you could ever hear.
Worst line ever.
Oh, it's the worst. It'll crush your soul. It'll drive you to drink.
So I got a couple of questions in chat to follow up with here. Dave, somebody want to know, when did you know, like, from a best practice standpoint, that you were ready to hire an assistant? How did you know, or what made you?
Sometimes you don't know. You just try. You want to get to a certain level, and if you go to the 6 personal perspectives, that class will teach you that if you get to a ceiling point, you either need someone or something to break you through that ceiling. So I felt like, I can only do so much as one person. And I was literally working from sun up to sundown, and my wife was not happy. I was always ignoring the kids. I would be there on the couch with the kids, but I'd be on my computer the whole time. So they were next to me, but I didn't exist. So it came to that point where I was like, I need to hire an assistant. I reached out to a friend of mine that she was wanting to change up things. And I'll go back to the classes that we go to. I think I remember one of the speakers, it was Joe from Rochester area. He said, if you hit about 35 transactions, that's right about where you should hire an assistant. If you're just looking for numbers, if you don't know your business and you're just looking for numbers, roughly about 35. I did more than that, but I felt like I could still do it by myself. It was when I decided I needed to get my time back is when I hired the assistant. So it's mostly about that time and how much time do you put into the business and how much time do you want back, and how much time. And when you say, I think I saw the question about how much they pay an assistant or whatever, how much is your time worth? When you're looking at, when I reached out to my friend, I said, hey, you're looking for a change. I'm looking to see if an assistant's what I need. Would you come to work with me for $10 an hour? I said, $10 an hour cash. If it doesn't work for you, great. If it doesn't work for me, great. We'll move on. It's just this is a learning stage for me and you both, because it was kind of a stepping stone for what she wanted to do. And kind of worked out, but she got a job offer, making a lot more money, obviously. And so she moved on, and I said, oh, that's good. I said, however, that was what I needed. I needed that assistant. So now what is it worth to me? Do I pay somebody $10 an hour? Do I pay somebody $12 an hour? How much will I pay somebody to get that time back that she gave me? Because that's what it boiled down to. And whether you start, $10 an hour, this was, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So $10 an hour ain't going to cut it no more. You can get that, you can get more than that working at McDonald's. So you got to step it up and say, okay, what can you offer? And, I've even gone through 4 or 5 assistants since that first one. And I've had a couple good ones, a couple okay ones. But you need to find that right one that's worth every penny that you pay them. And, do do some due diligence. You know, you don't just, I did it as a trial stage for me, but once I hired my friend for temporary, then I went through the system. All right, they train us to put them through a system with hiring people and Keller Williams, and I put them through the systems, and that's when, I found a perfect fit. And then, long story short, you pay them what they're worth.
Mhm.
And what's it worth for you for your time.
Yeah, it's a great perspective looking at, to get your time back, what would you pay for that? Because, it's either money or time, right? I think Mark, you mentioned that, those are the two currencies you got in life, and you never get back any more time. You can always go out and make more money, but can't produce time, or at least we haven't figured it out yet. So,
Yeah, because I think and to tell you how important that is that if I did half the business I did last year, I would still have that assistant. That's how important that person is in my business and in my life, not just my business, but obviously giving me my personal time back too.
yeah, cool. Thank you for sharing that perspective.
Yep.
So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit and go into, each one of you guys has great repeat and referral business. I mean, every one of you brought that up. It's, it's got to feel good because you guys wake up and know that there's a certain amount of business coming to you, or that people are referring you stuff. So what do you guys do to create an exceptional customer experience? What do you do uniquely, and what do you think your customers say about you after, or what do you want them to say after they've bought or sold a house with you? You want to go ahead, Mike, and share?
So, and I've talked to you, Brian, a lot about this a little bit. I'm in a nice little niche. Okay. So I try to stay within 30 miles south and 30 miles north of Lexington and go a couple miles inland. Okay. So, and that's the community that I live in as well. And I've been able to build a really strong business from that niche. All right. And then, so the people I rub shoulders with just on a regular basis, whether it's through sports school, Beth knows, through teaching, and just life in general from church, that tends to be my clientele. So the nice thing is in small communities, and Brian, I think I told you this last week. I said, I don't know how effective of a broker or a realtor I would be if I was in a big city. I don't know. I've never had that as my experience, but I know within my communities that I want to build, and I want people to know how awesome it is to live up here. Those are the people I rub shoulders with. So they know how I live. They know what I care about. And then everybody seems to know everybody. It's an amazing thing to me that someone in a small community would ever say something negative about someone else. Because if you do that, you just insulted 6 people, some family members, and everybody else. So the great thing is if you take care of people, look, I know how I want to be treated. I know the kind of service I like. I'm not, I think Mark said it too, I'm not out there. I don't ever feel like I've sold someone anything. I just want to do the best. I find out what their goals are. I find out how they communicate, how they want me to communicate with them. Whether some people just like the text, some people want a phone call. And so it's just learning your client, learning how they want to be best served, and learning their goals, and then just trying to meet that. So everyone's a little bit different. I would say this, always return a phone call. Like before you go to bed. I mean, don't wait too long. If someone wants something, you just communicate well with them. And then I think if you serve them well, they're naturally going to tell other people that, hey, we just had a great experience with Mike, or we had a great experience with Town and Country. And that's going to naturally just keep a beautiful cycle going. So.
No, great. Thank you for sharing that. And I think I might have said this to you on the phone too, though, but those big communities are made up of a bunch of small communities. So you could survive in a big community. It's just you find your niche in that community. And, so that's for anybody out there, is that even if you're in, New York City, there's a niche in there that you live in that community, just like Mike is explaining how he does in 30 miles north of Lexington, 30 miles south. So thank you for sharing that, Mike. Mark, you want to share what you do to create that excellent customer experience?
Sure, yeah. And I think Mike hit on a couple of great points there, but one of the first things that I do when meeting, let's say Estella, for example, is I kind of do what's called a needs analysis. So I sit down with them, show me your house and all of that, give me a tour. Okay, fine. Now that we're done with the tour, let's sit down and talk about some goals. The first question I usually ask the seller or potential seller is, what's important to you? Because you'll be surprised at what they say. And I think oftentimes as realtors, because we're so used to talking to people, is we talk too much. And you really need to listen to that customer, because that customer will tell you not only what's important to them, but how they want to be treated, how they want to be communicated with. I'm going to communicate with a 20-year-old a little bit differently than I'm going to communicate with a 75-year-old person. Okay. So I need to know how that customer prefers to be communicated. I've had older clients say it's impersonal to text them. They want a phone call. No problem. They don't want to do a sign. They want to meet in person at a kitchen table and sign with ink. Okay, no problem. So you have to be a chameleon with your client and know what's important to them and what they want in a realtor. Because let's be honest, there's 1,000 realtors out there. They have a ton of choices. So what are you going to do to stand out? So that the first thing I ask them is what's important to them. And then I think as a realtor, don't be so focused on the check. There's so many people that are just focused on the dollar. All right, well, I got to get this sale because I got to pay this bill, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. I mean, let's be honest, we all need money, okay? And anybody that says they don't is just ridiculous. But don't let the money fuel how you treat that customer. I'm going to treat a $100,000 buyer the same as I'm going to treat a $10 million buyer, right? They're all going to get that same level of service from me, because I know that the money is a byproduct of what we do. Obviously, we need it, but taking care of the customer is what's most important. And if we do that to the best of our ability, that customer is going to refer people out to you. And that's just how I've ran my business. I'm not saying that it's the best way of doing things, but it's worked for me. I grew up in Port Huron, lived there my entire life. I moved out to Macomb County in 2010. I've been in Macomb County since, but 90% of my business is in St. Clair County, because that's where my sphere of influence is. That's where all my friends and family are. That's where my referrals come from. I'm in Port Huron every day. I invest heavy in rentals. All my rentals are in Port Huron. So I really try to, do what you're good at, and like Mike said, kind of stay in your lane. Mike's lane is that shoreline. And if you drive up and down Lakeshore, you see his signs everywhere. He does a great job with that. My lane is kind of in that Port Huron, St. Clair County area. So I'm going to stay there. And what's funny about that is, and I think Dave will attest to this, Dave and I grew up in the same city, same town. We know 1,000 of the same people. I don't think I've ever been on a listing appointment where Dave has been on that same listing appointment, or where we're competing with each other, right? Like I don't know,
Right.
Dave, have you ever? No, I mean, and the reason being is that our sphere of influence is different. So even though we're in the same city, in the same town, and in the same area, there's enough business for everybody, right? But just do what you're good at, take care of the customer, and I think the rest will follow.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And there's a good saying when you're talking about that focusing on the money. It's we don't eat to live. We don't eat to live. Sorry, we don't eat to. I'm screwed up now. So we don't live to eat. We eat to live. So you don't have to focus on that money. Sorry, I screwed up that quote there. It came to mind when we were there. But great perspective. If you're focused on money, you're going to make the wrong decision, right? You're going to make the bad decision for the customer. We talked about that, Mark, and thank you for pointing that out. So,
Sure.
Dave, you got anything unique you do to create a great customer experience?
It's pretty much the same thing that they said, but it's real quick. I'll summarize that and add a little bit extra. But it's the same thing. I had a client where I was texting him. He got mad because he wanted a phone call. So the next guy I picked up, the next lead, I'm calling him. He got mad at me because he wanted a text. So you got to make sure, and this is, you learn from your mistakes. So I mean, this is stuff that you learn along the way. You got to find out who your client is and how they want to be communicated with, because that's huge. One of the things that we do is just trying to help support them in any way. So if we have a client that has a small business or something like that, we try to share that business, or we try to do something to promote them, just to show that, hey, we're trying to help you out. It's not all about the sale. We do, and following up with that is, you get that where you got a bad inspection, or you're trying to negotiate something between two agents and somebody won't budge, and you're trying to get it together, just show them like, hey, this is what needs to be done. And they might say, well, you're just working for the other agent. You don't even care. I'll be the first one to come right out and say it because, I work from abundance, not scarcity. So I'm not afraid to say how I feel, but I'll tell them, I'm like, this isn't about this deal. This isn't about this sale. I really don't, not to be rude, but I don't care about this sale. I care about helping you so much, giving you 100% excellent experience. So you refer everybody to me. So that's what's important to me. This is not about the dollar that I might get from the, when this is all over with. This is about you sharing my name with everybody that you know. And the only way I could do that is by giving you the best, providing you the best service I possibly can. And that kind of, okay, that's all right. So you're not trying to just, get this deal to the closing table or something like that. And and I tell people, on both ends, even on another side, if you don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with you, because in the end, we need to build that healthy relationship. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to build relationships, not get paid. Like Mark said, you'll get paid, that's a byproduct of what we do. So, and obviously everybody needs a dollar, but everybody, it's a byproduct of what we do. So help people, be genuine, and the money, you'll bear your fruit from that. One of the things that we do is communications are one of our most important things. So we do like a Friday follow-up. We call all of our clients pending and under contract listings, all that. We call them all on Friday and just, hey, we just got an email yesterday. In case you didn't see it, this is what it said. Or we got an email Wednesday, I forwarded it to you. I'm not sure if you saw it, but this is what it said. Hey, this is Dave from, this is Dave, your real estate agent. I don't have any update for you, but do you have any questions this week? Okay, if not, great. I'll talk to you next Friday. So just that communication, because so many people out there will say, I haven't talked to my agent in 3 months, or I haven't talked to him in 3 weeks. And we hear that so much. I'm just like, they're not talking about me like that. I don't care if I don't have anything to say. I'm going to call them on Friday. And sometimes you get busy. So, and that's where the assistant comes in. I have Kristen call, and Kristen calls our clients as well. And I put that in front of them and say, hey, if you don't hear from me, you're going to hear from her. So I give them those expectations, like somebody is going to be here to take care of you. If I'm busy on an appointment, she's going to be here and she knows my business just as well as I do. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask her. If not, she'll refer you to me and I'll follow up with you as soon as possible. And answering those calls, like Mike said, I got to a point where I was getting pretty busy where I was like, all right, I'm not answering calls after 6 o'clock at night. I'll follow up with them the next day. I swear when I did that, I don't know if I did, but I felt like I lost a little business that way. So I said, you know what? I'll make it short. I'll tell them, hey, look, I'm in the middle of something. I'm about to do something. I just want to take your call because this is important to me. What can I help you with real quick? Or can I follow up with that tomorrow morning? And if you respond like that, they're going to, okay, yeah, sure. No problem. But taking that call is very important to your client.
Yeah. And it's a simple thing to do. I love that piece of advice you give there. I want to be respectful of you guys' time. And I know we had till 11:30, but I did want to make sure we touched on some of the financial aspects of, how do you guys budget, for a year? I love the fact that all of you guys have unique ways of keeping your marketing costs low. I don't see you guys out on billboards, radio, spending all kinds of money to generate business. So with that, how do you create a budget for your marketing and to make sure that you're taking home the money you need to for retirement, for taking care of your family? And I know, and also you can talk about some of the investment properties you guys have. I think each one of you guys has some other streams of income that you use. So you want to go ahead first, Mike, and talk a little bit about how you budget yourself?
So when I got into real estate, I was learning business. Okay. Came from an educational world. I came from parents that were hard workers. Mom was a nurse. Dad was an administrator in schools too. So the business mindset, I had a lot to learn. Okay. So thank goodness. And one thing that goes with this financial kind of talk is just don't be afraid to find someone doing something very well in your business and try to replicate that. Okay. So I was blessed coming out and getting into the business to find an awesome mentor. So I basically when I decided to go into real estate and leave education, I said, all right, why reinvent the wheel? I'm going to look and see. I knew what niche I wanted to have. And then I looked for the company that was going to best fit my personality with the same integrity and ethics that I had. And then that just worked out perfect because the person that was number one in regards to doing exactly what I do now, that's the office that she was at. So I basically hitched my wagon to a realtor that some of you may know now. She's been retired for several years, but her name was Connie Marcus. And if you 10 years ago drove up along the coast, you would see her name everywhere. So in with that mentorship, she helped me. And she basically said, from a financial perspective, she said, Mike, a couple of things you want to do right away. And it doesn't seem right because, I mean, look, you first get into, I went from a $75,000 with benefits, counseling, school counselor role to jumping into real estate, working part-time at the community college. And I remember my first year, granted I was only working part-time, but I made $15,000 in real estate my first year. And I thought, I don't know what is this going to continue to work? Okay. But I knew, and my eyes were focused on what I knew had to be done. So in every year that certainly built up from there. But Connie said this, she goes, Mike, it won't even seem possible to be able to do this, but do this. She said, number one, you need 2 different accounts. She goes, so don't be mingling your personal stuff with your business stuff. So she said, open up a checkbook immediately and put a certain amount of money in there that's going to cover your advertising, because every month you're going to need to get some things out there, and advertising wise, you're going to have to pay for professional photos, things like that. So 1, have a checking account, and 2, open up a personal savings or a business savings account. And she said, every check you get, and I followed this to this day, and it's worked perfect for me. And she said, every check that you get, take 40% of that check and put it in that business savings account. That 40% is going to cover all your taxes you'll ever need for your quarterly taxes, plus open up a SEP, open up a self-employed pension, and you're going to need to fully fund that every given year. And so if you haven't done those 2 things and you're just working out of your personal kind of checking account and saying, gosh, I wish I could spend a little bit more or not here, that those 2 things were wonderful to start right off the bat. And then I'll take my 60% and, we spread that across accounts for the kids' colleges and our personal stuff and things like that. And I don't invest any of that. 40% goes to taxes, and it goes to my SEP. So rental homes and things like that, Beth and I buy that out of our personal funds and things like that. But those are 2 great things that I would recommend you do. And then just really quick, because I know we're low on time, is I've always said 10%, at least 10%, and I've gone up as high as 15%. 15% of my income should be to getting it out there, from an advertising standpoint. But everybody wants you to spend their money on stuff, and everybody can make you promises and things. Find out what works for you. If it isn't working, thin it out. But you do got to spend a little bit of money to get your name out there. So I always keep my budget, no more than 15% of my income goes out to advertising and getting my name out there.
So it's 15% of the 60%, right? Just so everyone knows.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. Because I don't even think that other 40% doesn't even exist to me in a check.
Yeah, cool. Any Mike or Dave, you guys have anything to add as far as perspective of managing your finances?
I'm very similar to Mike, except like I said, I don't really spend a whole lot of money on advertising because a lot of my business comes from repeat and referral. But I think as a realtor, when you get into this business, I just had my tax appointment yesterday. One of the biggest things that you need to save for are taxes, right? If you don't have a separate account and you're not, allocating funds for tax purposes, you're going to be in a world of trouble, because it's really easy to make a $20,000 commission check and spend $20,000 on something you don't need. And then tax time comes around, you're like, oh my gosh, so you got to be paying your quarterly taxes. You've got to have funds set up for that. I think he hit the nail on the head with an IRA. I think that's awesome. There's some major tax benefits for that as well. I think also, setting yourself up as an S Corp or an LLC, there's some tax benefits to that. But as far as, my income goes, like I said, I run my business a little bit differently in the fact that I came from the car business where I was the manager at the time. So I was getting a pretty lucrative salary. When I got into real estate, I knew it was going to be on commission. When I first started the car business, I was on commission. So I was used to that part of it. But what I wasn't sure of is how successful I would be in real estate. I had never sold a house before. So before I left the dealership, I bought 4 investment properties because I wanted to have some income coming in. When I started with Bauer Reno, Joe Bauer was and still is the broker there. He said, hey man, you need to have at least 90 days of reserves. when you come here, because, even if you sold the house tomorrow, it's going to be 30 days before it closes. And, there's a cycle there. So he said, try to have at least 90 days in reserves. And I did. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and buy these rentals because they'll create some residual income while I'm waiting, for a first paycheck. Having started working with Joe, his best year, he did $20 million in real estate. So he was a great mentor for me, to kind of show me not only the real estate side, but the rental side. He invests heavy in rentals, and he was kind of giving me the formulas and what to look for, and, what's a good deal and what's a bad deal. And there's always going to be somebody, I call it the horse in the office, right? There's always every office has a horse, right? They have that top producer that's bringing in, a lot of business. As a new agent, I would try to attach myself to that person. I would ask that person, what can I do to help you out? Try to do whatever you can to help that person out, because the information that they're going to give you is invaluable. I mean, if you just volunteered your time to shadow that person, the amount of knowledge that you will gain from doing that is invaluable. You cannot put a price on it. Even just hearing someone talk on the phone to a client in the terms that they say and how they address that client is just huge. So for me, that's helped me out tremendously, and hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. No, great advice there, and thank you for sharing that. Dave, anything to add?
A lot of what they say, I think, Mark's idea of, offering your free services to try to gain a lot, because you look at it as you go to college, you spend a ton of money for that education, and you just offer some free time to somebody, and you can actually probably save a lot or earn a lot. I mean, some of us have spent a lot of time in education. I know I have. I've spent a lot of money on just educating myself. I want to be the most educated person out there. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I want to be the most educated person out there when it comes to knowing stuff or having information, or just, being able to help my clients out. So that's trying to service them to the best I can, is by being more knowledgeable to them. So same thing. I mean, I have, with Keller Williams, you have the 30-30-40 rule. So we looked at with our P&L, we're looking at, 40% goes to the, I have everything. 40% your net, 30% is the cost of sales, and 30% expenses. I've been doing a lot of social media marketing out there, so I do a lot of free marketing. I don't spend a lot in marketing outside of a couple of lead generation systems and stuff like that. So going over, my P&L, it's like one of the things I learned back at another one of those six personal perspectives is that if you're not spending money on your business, you could be choking your business. So I'm always trying to grow my business. So I'm looking at, with my coach, I'm looking at my P&L, and she's looking at it and saying, look at, you're way under, where you need to be as far as spending money on marketing. You're not spending anything that you should be. You're not spending close to what you should be. And I said, that's all right. I said, I'm investing with it. I'm spending money on it, on other places to try to make money off it and stuff like that. But then it came back to me that if I'm not spending money on my business, I could be choking my business. If I'm trying to grow my business, how am I supposed to grow my business if I'm choking it? So that's why I say this year is going to be a little bit different than the previous years, because this year I put quite a bit of money out there for different advertising, just because I want to try it out. I'll say, okay, will this stuff work? If not, I'll go back to the way it used to work, because it worked just fine. Been pretty fortunate and successful doing what I've been doing. I just started spending a little bit more this year on marketing, just to try to get a little bit more out of that. So
yep.
That's probably one of the biggest things, is that people, you might think it's not necessary, but it could help. But there's all kinds of ways to do free marketing nowadays with all the stuff that's out there. Like, work on that first, and then just kind of like shovel, add a little bit to that, add a little bit to there, add a little bit to here, to try to step up your game a little bit. So
cool. So thank you guys so much for being the professionals that you guys are, and sharing and pouring back into all the other realtors out there. We're broadcast this on our Realtors Helping Realtors in Michigan page. So thank you guys for putting that out there. And I really appreciate all the feedback. I guess before I let you guys go, if you can in 10 seconds, give somebody like the person who wants to be the next Mike Rickerman or Mark Ellis or Dave Simpson, looking back with what you know now, what would you tell them, knowing with all the knowledge you have today, what's one tip or piece of advice you give?
I'll say one of my biggest things that's important in this business that some people don't realize is how you treat other agents. When I go into something that's got an agent event, I'm kind of working that room kind of like I would be if all my clients were there. Because I want those agents to get to know me. When, I heard Mark and Mike were going to be on here, I'm like, sweet, I like those guys. When I see their, their name come across my phone, I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? What are you up to? What's going on? What do we got going? Let's get something going. I see some agents, I'm like, oh crap. What does this person want? What's this person trying to stir up or something like that? So building that relationship with other agents is going to help you, and it's actually going to help your clients. Because if I go to Mark or Mike and say, hey, what can I do? What can we do to make this a win-win for everybody? What can I do to prove to you that we want to make this as smooth as possible? They know that they're going to get, a smooth transaction on the other end, which is going to affect their smooth transaction. Because if you got an agent that's going to make a mountain out of a molehill, your client's going to feel that. They're going to feel every bit of that. So don't act like you're hot shot, or don't act like you're too good for someone. Don't act like you don't have time to work with another agent. Build that relationship with every agent out there. That's going to help your business more than you know.
Yep. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, Mike and Mark might feel the other way when they see my name, but I don't know. I'm just being honest.
No, Dave always does a great job, and I always know when I have a deal with him, it's going to go smooth. And same with Mike. Mike and I just had a deal last week, a couple weeks ago, and it went off without a hitch. So it's always a pleasure working with you guys. And before we end this call, I just want to thank everybody for listening to us talk and for having me on this Zoom meeting. But if I could give any advice to an agent, it would be leverage. Leverage your time, leverage your sphere of influence, leverage title companies, leverage lenders, leverage. Because if you do that, for example, leveraging your sphere of influence, make sure that everyone in your sphere of influence knows what you do, and make sure that those people in that sphere are your biggest cheerleaders, right? Because they're going to be doing things behind the scenes that you don't even know about. And eventually you're going to get a call from someone that says, hey, I got your name from so-and-so. They said that you sell real estate. I'm looking to list my house. That's the best call you could ever get, right? You have no competition. You're going up there on a nice warm appointment. They already know that you've treated their friend great. The chances of you getting that listing is very, very high, all right? Title companies, they have marketing plans that they will do for free for you. They'll give you a mailing list for free. They will send out postcards for free. Leverage that, especially as a new agent. Why not? It's free. I just had a title company create or give me a list of labels, label list, so I can send out a mailer to a certain area that I'm trying to farm. I just called them up. I told them the area that I wanted to farm. The lady just sent me an email this morning. Here's your list. I got to print the labels out and put them on the letter. Pretty cool. Lenders, if you get a relationship built with a lender, a lot of times they will do some co-marketing with you, so, if you had a relationship built with, Chase Bank, for example, or whoever, ask them to help, with your advertising costs. Say, hey, I want to do a billboard, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Will you share that cost with me? They're going to want to put their name on the material that you're sending out, but who cares? You're going to be on one side, they'll be on the other side. That is a great way, of kind of, lowering your cost to advertise. So if I could just say one last thing, it would be leverage, as much as you can.
Thank you, Mike. Great tips. Thanks, Mark. Great tips there.
Thank
you. You want to go ahead and share?
Yeah, again, and like Mark said, guys, thank you so much. I don't have this all figured out. Okay. Be a learner, be a lifelong learner. So continually reading, as Dave had even said, into books, dive in, talk to other people, to people that are new in the business and what's working well for them. Talk to people that have been in the business for a while and learn from them. But I guess my biggest advice would go along with what Mark said, and that is you're not an island. So be willing to partner with people. A lot of your clients are going to need they're going to need good people. Hey, Mike, who's a trusted person that you use for HVAC? Who's a good person that can help me with a remodel? Who's that? And then to be able to share some of those resources. So after the sale, I am in contact with a lot of my clients all the time, and they're the first ones. They'll reach out to me and say, hey, Mike, I always say, you're never bugging me. And that's the first thing that they bring up. I'm like, here to help you for the next 20 years. And so regard, just, know people around that you can also help them with their home and different things there as well. But you're not an island. Lean on other people, be a partner, and then and be willing to mentor, some other people as well. And if there's a new agent that comes into your office, absolutely invite them, have them shadow you, do whatever. I learn a lot from new agents coming into our office just as much as hopefully they'll learn from me. So just be willing, be open, but be consistent and try to run your business in the same way that you would want, hopefully someone to serve you.
Thank you for sharing. And thank each and every one of you guys for your time today. Sorry I went over by 10 minutes here, but you guys have a fantastic day, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you guys so much. It was great information for sharing. So
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bless.